I talk to a spirit. She comes in my dreams.
What is the path to awakening supposed to look like, to feel like? How do you know if you are on it? We ask these very sacred and sometimes vulnerable questions to many different women from all walks of life. A conversation that needs to be shared and heard. I'm Jo Hendy.
I'm Amanda Parker.
And welcome to the Girl Awakening podcast. Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning, good morning.
It's Tuesday.
We have got a week of adventure this week.
Wednesday. It's a Tuesday. It's going to be a special one.
Yeah, we've got a power up day. We're going to just if you just think Elise Keys, this girl is on fire, and pain in the back of your mind through this whole episode.
Yes.
You will be with us.
Yes.
You will be picking up on the energy.
Absolutely.
It's wild.
Yeah.
So our guest today is Rowena Jayne. She is a best-selling author, retreat and women's circle facilitator, a Neuro Emotional technique practitioner, naturopath, nutritionist, international yoga instructor, psychotherapist, shamanic practitioner, and process facilitator. And there's more. She has also studied Ayurvedic medicine, permaculture, quantum energetics, and she combines all of her skills, training, and 28 plus years of experience into incredible healing retreats. You've been on one of those, Jo.
I've been on one, yes.
One-to-one consultations, women's circle, and healing workshops to offer a truly rounded experience that will propel your life forward in big ways. I just feel it just literally being in the space with this lady. I feel like I'm in healing mode right now, but yeah, thank you. Welcome, Rowena, to our podcast today. Thank you for joining
us.
Hello,
and thank you so much for having me on here. It's so great to see you. Jo, it's been 12 years or something. Time flies.
Oh, my goodness. And I would never, ever, forget your retreat. It was amazing. And, yeah, absolutely. For the listeners out there, if they ever get an opportunity to go on one of your retreats or even sit in one of your circles or any of that, this woman has the most amazing energy that I've ever probably sat with. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my goodness. We've got a lot to get through in this hour, so we're going to jump straight in.
Yes.
So Rowena, how did your awakening begin?
Gosh, it's funny. I feel like there wasn't just one awakening. I feel like it's just been layer after layer after layer. And I think, when you do all the study that I've done, you're also doing all the work yourself through all those healing modalities. And so there's just been one thing after the other. But I think really the biggest... Oh gosh, there's so many different. I guess the biggest moment happened for me. I actually had a sound healing. This is years ago. I was singing. Because you didn't mention that, but I used to be in the performing arts industry.
Yes.
Singing. So that also comes through a lot of my work. But I was in a show and I was really struggling. I was coming through a lot with my birth father at the time. There was a lot of violent stuff going on there and abuse. And when that was all going on, I was a lead singer in a show. And I remember I couldn't sing, my voice, I just was struggling every night to sing, and I could see the producer was getting concerned. And so I just started looking for more and more healing work. And I remember going to a lady that did sound healing, but not like Tibetan bowl sound healing. I'm talking voice sound healing. And she was an actor and she ran workshops, and I did these workshops with her. And all of a sudden I was getting these visions and just getting transported to somewhere. And then I had privates with her, and I literally saw myself as a Polynesian chief it was actually in Polynesia somewhere. And I saw so much detail, and I'd always had an obsession with Polynesia before. But anyway, I was in this thing, and all of a sudden I'm watching myself. I'm thinking, what's happening? And I was shaking on the ground, and I was like, what's happening? And then I realized someone was trying to kill me. And then I literally died, and I was in the panicking. And then all of a sudden I just went into this silence. And I was I'll never forget, I became so calm. I was in this dark kind of void. And then all of a sudden I was out in the ocean and I was just floating. And I don't know whether I was in physical body. I just remember the energy of it. And I was floating. And all of a sudden these telepathic voices or something was just telling me, everything is always okay. You just got to trust it and stay in your calm. And then all of a sudden I turned into a whale.
Oh my goodness.
And I was obsessed after that. Like, what the hell is this, past life regression, like I was obsessed. And because it was such a vivid experience that I remember seeing all the details, and I tracked, the internet just sort of come out. So I was tracing, I found the costumes, I found everything. And so I just, it changed something in me, I knew that there was more. As a child, I'd always been very intuitive. Like, I remember going trick-or-treating, and I went to this house and I got goosebumps and I jumped back a mile and I knew something wasn't right. And then it turned out, the guy in the house was not okay.
Yeah.
So there's always been this kind of intuition that's been there. And I was always hypersensitive as a child going through a lot of trauma. You're always hypervigilant, hypersensitive to every emotion that you can feel. So I definitely had that, and I can see that that's trauma adaptation. However, as I went along and started to heal all this stuff, I just kept getting these insights, visions, awakenings. I just started to see the world not as I had been told the world was. I started to realize that, hang on, everything's like a fake world. And I became, this is years later, but I became quite good friends with David Wolf. And I remember him going, the world is fake, Rowena. And I'm like, I kind of got what he was saying, but I wasn't as consciously thinking it in that way. And I was like, what's he talking about? He was talking about, so many different components of that. And just over the years, it just became so much more poignant. And then, of course, during the COVID years, that just hit home even more. And I've also been taken through some plant medicine journeys and done a lot of altered state work just with breath work. Kahuna, I've done a lot of kahuna, because that's the other thing. I've went through kahuna, and every time I had a kahuna, again, I was in past lives, or I was cathartically healing things that I knew weren't from this life, and I was getting insights about things. And, there was times when I felt Indigenous people coming in and teaching me the pain that they went through. And so I just started to see this world as a very fake world, and but at the same time, I think it's maybe meant to be happening. I don't know. I've done a lot of work, and my first incarnation was a Lemurian. So, and the Lemurians used to shapeshift all the time. And the Lemurians also, their biggest downfall, they believe, where the culture kind of disappeared from Earth. They had that big wave and everything that they reckon killed everyone. But what I've seen when I've gone into these kind of journeys is that I've sensed that, I've felt and picked up that actually they struggled with actually being on Earth, like coming to the Earth plane. And that's something that I've struggled with a little bit too. Like, I really do believe there is, it's not even a belief. It's like a knowing.
Yeah.
You might think I'm psycho crazy. I don't really care, because I've experienced these states and I've seen these altered states, and I've tapped into stuff. And I don't know. I could go on forever, but there's just so much.
Yeah, I know. I'm hearing you. I'm hearing everything that you're saying. It's like, I even remember that the first time I met you, I was like, my God, this girl's got so much energy, like you were just so energetic, but I loved it. There was something that resonated with me as well.
It's activating. You can feel the energy.
Yes,
activating. It's not chaotic. It's activating. There's an activation in your.
Absolutely. And when you say, you feel like, I feel like you've had thousands of lifetimes, and that's the energy of that. You feel so much all at once, and sometimes it can be hard to deal with. And that can be that energetic kind of craziness. But I love, and what I loved about you right from the beginning, right from the first time I met you, is that you were so authentic, and you just didn't give a fuck about what other people thought. You were like, this is me, this is who I am. And I was just like, oh, I love this girl. I want to know more about her. And there was so much to learn about you. And as I've watched, you over the years too, you've never shied away from, putting yourself out there.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if that's the performer part of me, or even sometimes, because I've done a lot of work on significance, because we live in a very significant society. Like, it's all about me, selfies, this, that, and I've done a lot of work on that within myself as well, the significance part. So sometimes I think, am I just looking for attention? So I've done a lot of work to try to make sure that that's not what that is.
Yeah.
Because you can get really caught up and, in the ego state. I mean, we need ego, but there's also, that other end of it. Energy. Well, energy, I think, is important. it's your channel. I think I always think that I go around through life, and I've always said that I had this big bag of potatoes on my back, and every healing I've had, or every, yoga class I've done, or whatever I've done, I've just gotten rid of those potatoes, and I've just become lighter. And I experience that, like when I studied shamanic medicine, they talked a lot about, after a session, ask the clients what they feel, and they always say, I feel lighter. And he said, yeah, that's a state change. And that's what we're taught in yoga, when you are able to rid the body of so much toxicity, mental toxicity, emotional toxicity, physical toxicity, then of course you are going to vibrate at that higher rate. Joe Dispenza talks about going up through the thalamic gates, and then you've got this antenna. So I think that's all part of it. It's the more clear you are, the more clear thinking you are, and it takes a lot of work. It's not just like, and it's interesting that you said that you didn't say the word ground, my energy is grounded, but it's taken me a long time to ground my energy. I was like always up there. I felt safer being up there, to be honest. So I've had to learn to ground it, to be able to communicate, you got it, but not everyone gets it. People sometimes just judge that energy. Oh, she's so hyper. It's but there's so much, like you said, I'm just picking up everything all at once. So I've had to learn to ground that energy,
Because even as a young child, when you're sharing around with your birth father and the trauma and the experience, it's a natural thing. Like most people share that their safety places to leave their body is to leave in some place. Part of their life journey is to learn about how to come back into their body and feel safe. That
disassociation. I think I did so much extra activities around my trauma, around that. Like I was dancing, I was singing, I was always doing something. So I don't think my trauma didn't really hit me till I just thought I'd grown up in a normal family. Well, not really. I knew it wasn't really normal, but you kind of just go, that's what it is like. It's all those wonderful things that helped me, like the dancing helped me, like, to and then it was later on where I felt like I just wanted to not be in my body. I had an eating disorder. I think that was the eating disorder, was almost partly, I need to somehow ground myself through food, so
there's different layers, isn't there?
There's so many different layers.
And it's funny because I went to a medium on the weekend. There was a lot of things telling me, you don't need this, Joe, you don't need this, you have all your own answers. And I'm like, but I really just want to know.
One more question.
And I go, and look, this person was incredible. But also completely like unaware or unconscious. Even saying that feels wrong. And what I got from it was that it doesn't matter how much you know, if you're not like self-aware or others aware, you really are kind of stuck in that place kind of thing. So it doesn't matter how many modalities we know or learn, if we're not putting them into use, it's really, and it really shocked me to think that there's somebody that can know so much,
or be connected to
a higher whatever, but be completely like mean. It's like, what is
mean?
Well,
that's our own projections of unhealed. We've all got unhealed things, right? And I guess when you become conscious, when you start to live consciously, you're embodying, we've all got the concepts. We all understand we are one. But are we living, we are one? We all understand, treat your neighbor like you'd want to be treated. But until we do the work on our own self, and some of my healers always say it's not rainbows and unicorns, and I'm not knocking Reiki because I love Reiki, but like sometimes people think, I just want some nice Reiki. There's so much beneath that. You actually have to look at your, whether you want to call it the shadow, whether you want to look at your wounded parts, whatever. We've all got that. We've all got that flip side, the two sides of the coin. And I think it's the people who are willing to look at that stuff. Not everyone is. I sometimes meet people who I think, wow, they're so conscious, they seem so conscious, and the moment it comes to working on themselves, oh no, they don't want to go even there anywhere. And that's okay, that's your own journey, and you've got to feel trust and faith, and be ready for that. I get that. But it's the embodiment of that consciousness, it's that integration of it. If you're not embodied and you're not integrating it, well then
what's the point?
All your stuff's going on. And when you become conscious, someone might trigger you, but you can respond instead of react. Most people are reactive, and that's, and I think that's the biggest thing, that the longer you're on this journey, the more you're able to stop and to sit and to see things for what they really are. As in the healing world, we know that whatever someone comes to you for, whatever someone's upset about or triggered by, it's actually not even the problem.
Yeah.
That's just the projection of the problem. Sometimes that's the safest way to express that problem. But beneath that, that's when you're going to chunk down and try to find out, okay, what's really going on here? What's that visceral stuff that you just have to look at? And then, of course, our whole entire world is filtered. And so then what we see when I look at you, that's filtered by my own experience.
Yeah.
So the more work we do on ourselves, the less those filters come into play, and we start tapping into that genuine, authentic uniqueness that we are. And this is self-realization in yoga. That's the whole point of it, right? To become self-realized, to realize, hang on, we are these incredible beings. We are one. We are connected. We are part of this leaf right here that's like, you can't even see that I'm sitting on my tree.
It's like when you're sharing around being in the performing arts and not being able to, there was a blockage there, like not being out because there was trauma. But then to have that experience where the frequency, the sound healing, and people's voices are just amazing in that space, and what it frees out in that cellular memory. And then to go, I am more than this moment, I'm more than this person. That's like an act of what you're talking around with the consciousness, isn't it? To be tapping into, who we are as consciousness. We are more than this person. So when you had that experience, then did you continue acting for a while or singing? And
I was in the industry. Look, I was in the industry for about 12, maybe longer, 15 years or something like that. So I was in the industry for a long time. And then I just kept going because that's my personality, my primary, we've got a secondary and a primary. That's who I identify with. Yes, I'm hardworking. I never give up. I identify with those parts of myself, but I'm learning to now bring in those other parts of myself, the softer side. But so at that time, that was my primary. I just keep going. I keep pushing through all the challenges, but that is a great strength that I have, so that helped me a lot to keep going. And then, so I kept going, but then I was in hospital with eating disorder, and that's when I was like lying in there going, you know what? I don't think I want to be acting anymore. And I finally had to admit that this is not my path anymore. It's led me to here, and it's time to go. So you about to ask a question. I saw you.
No, because that's like the turning point where the body says, okay, you're not listening.
That was the biggest turning point of my life, really. That was when I found you. That was when I really stepped into this path. I was in hospital and I just was like, I can't do this anymore. I just can't. Like, the whole idea of even going and doing an acting piece was like, oh my God, it just made me feel so tired, And I went and saw my friends in a play and I was like, oh, thank God I'm not doing that anymore, But now if I did something, I'd love it. 15 years after that, I was invited to be in a show, Spiegelesque, in Belrose Theatre, and I just had the best time of my life because, I've changed a lot since then. It was just like, oh my God, this is a celebration of how I've come. But that was when I got out of hospital and I was, I had rheumatoid arthritis and I had the eating disorder, I had a bleeding colon, and they said to me, we think we've got Crohn's disease. And I just heard this voice in my head and it said, you don't have Crohn's disease. This is your wake up call. I'll never forget it. And I wrote about that in my book, I'll never forget it. It was so powerful. And my mind at the time had been so negative with the eating disorder, my dad and all that stuff. And all of a sudden it was like there was this hope, like there is a better future for me. There is a better future. And I just trusted it every day. And I was praying, what's my next thing? What am I supposed to be doing with my life? And then bang, all of a sudden I heard this, that same voice that I heard in hospital say, look up. This is when I'd come out, obviously. And I looked up and there was this sign flapping in the breeze, grand opening Bikram Yoga North Side. It was in Lane Cove in Sydney. And I just knew, and I literally went to the class within an hour, and I knew in 3 days I was going to be a teacher. That is it. Like, oh my God, like my whole life just changed from that. I just went on this trajectory, you know, and, you know, it all just flowed and everything came to me. You know, I think Bikram always used to say, the world will chase you, money will chase you, love will chase you, everything you need will chase you. You'll become bulletproof, money-proof, emotion-proof if you do your yoga practice. And, you know, obviously you hear that cognitively, you kind of get an understanding, but bit by bit, I realize, yeah, that's exactly what happens when we're in the flow and we are awake and we are conscious. We don't go into panic. We don't go into fear. If we do, we go do regulation exercises to bring us back down again. And then all of a sudden, you know, we realize we're back in flow again. I think we're always in flow, but we can, depending on where our thoughts are, you know.
Yeah.
And go back and then just realize, allow again. You know, I think it's less, the more years I live, the more I realize it's not about doing, action. It's such a masculine thing. We do need to take action. I'm not saying we don't, but there is a balance here. Hatha yoga is Ha, sun, Tha, moon, yin and yang. Like it's the longer I live, the more I realize we really have to just become in that feminine, you know, when we really allow that feminine in. We've got such a masculine dominated world.
Yeah.
And feminine that's coming through now, you know.
Yeah, I'm hearing you. That's been a challenge for me, because someone that's so active and has to be in do mode. It's actually really challenging to be able to be in that space of nothingness and not let the mind go, you really should be doing something right now, you know, this is getting you nowhere, this is giving you nothing. And it's like, oh, it's complete opposite. There's everything in the nothingness. Yes,
totally. Osho says that a lot, like the no-thingness, and it's yes. And when you have a healing, you know, that's what place you go to. That's really what the healing does. It's regulate. Every healing is just really helping you regulate your nervous system. And when you're in that nervous system place, Yogananda, the Self-Realization Center, it's part of our lineage in Bikram Yoga, but Yogananda, they say, you know, when you're in that healing, when you're in that space of stillness, that's when you're in a place of creation. It's actually in that place. That's when you'll have success in your life. Until, this is a word, exact kind of paraphrasing exact words, but when success comes to those that are in that stillness. It was just like, oh, I remember when I heard that, you know, I was ready to.
It's like permission, isn't it? It's like permission.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we've also got, I mean, if you look at talking about awake and not awake, you know, you look at the agendas going on in the world, 2030 agenda, all that sort of stuff as well, whether it's, people want to say it's a conspiracy. I don't really believe it is. And there's a lot of things happening that are showing that it's not. Yeah. But, you know, even looking at that, and you look at all these things are, in a way, you could say, against us, because people are financially stressed, people are this, that. There's so many things going on in the world that keep you out of that regulation state, you know. So, but I think that's also the spiritual journey. It's the tapas, going through the fire and finding that within yourself, no matter what chaos is going on around you, coming back to these spiritual practices, these healing practices. This is what keeps us waking up and remembering. Like, it's a remembering, you know, who we actually are. And in that, when we remember, we're like, oh yeah, life is taking care of me.
We have this conversation a lot.
Because the hardest thing in that, you know, yang dominated world is to feel value when the stillness and the flow state, you know, to attribute value to that. But as you say, like, that's where everything lies, and that's, you know, the creation lies in the stillness. I agree. You know, that's where nature's so important. Mother Earth, you know, nature is so important for that. Like, I can tell when I need to go into nature, like, straight away I can feel I get like a bit hypervigilant. I'm not like tapping in as much. I just feel like I get reactive a bit more. You know, I'm so aware of it now. It's like, okay, I need to just disappear, go away. Sometimes I just go in the bush and go bye, you know.
Absolutely. And, I just want to touch on the nervous system part that you're talking about, because I feel like that's a really important part that's coming in now on the planet, to coincide with, you know, being able to tap into higher frequencies and stuff like that. So there's a lot of talk around getting into a place where you're looking after the nervous system to be able to handle what's coming, being able to connect with higher beings, being able to connect with, outer planetary kind of, entities and stuff like that. Do you want to talk a little bit around that with your work? I know that you do a bit of shamanic work
there's so many different levels to it. I guess from a psychotherapy point of view, they're looking at it from a point of, well, that's changing too. I've just been on the psychedelic assisted therapy training with the psychiatrists, psychologists, psychotherapists, and just it was blowing my mind and just really bringing me so much joy to hear the psychiatrist saying, what we're doing isn't working. We need to open people up to this deeper level of consciousness. I was just there's always been this bit of a you can heal this down there, and they were saying you guys are the humanitarians actually who've been doing the humanitarian work, and we've been so clinical, and it's the merging of that. So so I just wanted to add that in there. So so traditionally, I guess through those therapies, it's like teaching them how to hold their space, teaching them how to meditate. I mean, all these things are, but there was more of a grounding the body, making them still and calm, whereas really they're access points, they're portals. When we're able to drop into this place of regulation, that's when everything else is visible to us. That other field becomes visible. It's not visible when we're busy. It's not I mean, it is in some ways, but it's not to the capacity that it has the potential to be. Everything is kinetic potential. And when when we go to that place of stillness, when we go to that place of calm, when we go to that place of safety, when we go, whatever it is that these regulation techniques do for the individual, and we're all sort of different in what it's going to do, I guess, but it brings us, a lot of people are in dorsal vagal shutdown, right? They're actually like that, but then they've had to adapt and their adrenals are going like that. So as soon as we can actually bring people back and their adrenals can, and they can be in that space, and I said those portals can open and we can start, like I see it on the kahuna table when I do transpersonal body work. It's the flow. Like I start with the flow. It's so soft. The oil, we take 5 minutes to put the oil on, and you just consciously, I'm just sending aloha, sending love, and it's so soft, and like it's just like literally on the skin.
I can feel it now.
Drops them into this like trusting place, and then I go more medium pressure, and then we'll go into the deeper parts rather than just going, I'm going to barge you and get in. And so when they're in that place, all of a sudden they, the expression after, people go, what? The hell just happened? That's not even a massage. What the hell just happened? I feel so free. I feel so alive. Like, and then other people drop into past lives, and other people, one person, their son came through who had passed away, and I knew he was coming through because I already connected to him. But he was like, I don't believe in this stuff. I don't believe in this stuff. I don't understand. And then he had a second one. He came through again. He goes, I don't understand. Wow. I go, oh, it's showing you something, isn't it? Maybe your concept of the world is maybe there's more. And this is the work that we've got, these beautiful abilities. I think when my mum was, going, she obviously had some trauma as well, intergenerational, but I think, gosh, they had such a stigma around any kind of healing work, anything that really taught them anything, right? And they all they had was the white coats. So, and we are so lucky. Our generation is so lucky. We have so much available to us to bring us into these places, breath work, the altered state of that. One of the psychologists that I just worked with, it was amazing, and they were very clinical minded, and they're like, I really want to let go the way you do, Rowena. They did, and it was so beautiful to watch because I was part of it, and I was singing and holding space and whatnot while it was happening, and then it was just so beautiful to watch the experience after, and the softening that happens in the face, and the eyes brighten, and there's an energy that comes through people,
It's so beautiful.
Do you feel that this area is opening up a lot in like the psychology, psychiatry, psychotherapy space? Yeah.
Especially those that are now going on to that understanding that we need to access these medicines. And I love it because they're doing so much work on understanding that it's the indigenous practices, and understanding all the regulation, and understanding even cultural stuff. And, I mean, the TGA aren't on board yet for all that stuff.
Yeah.
You're like, it's got to be clinical. But we're doing research every time we need something kind of moved. Before they were saying, no, you can only do these medicines in hospitals. Well, already within 8 months now, they're allowing it in clinics, and we're allowed to have trees and plants and create a nice soft environment. So, you can see it's influencing, it's making its way. And to see these mainstream allied health practitioners really starting to come on board, it's amazing. I mean, a lot of naturopaths now are going, we need more training. We need to be able to support our clients, because people are seeing the dysregulation in the modern world now. People are seeing the stress that, there's been a shift, and it's the living, until we actually address the way we're living, you can keep putting the Band-Aid on, I guess, but it's the teaching people how to live differently. And I believe we have to have a spiritual practice. And I'm not saying you have to bow to Buddha every day or whatever. I'm not saying that. But a spiritual practice is contemplation. A spiritual practice is self-reflection, and I think, or prayer or whatever that might be for each individual.
What is yours, Rowena? How do you self-regulate? How do you,
My self-care regime is like, people would probably say I'm selfish if they look at me, but not selfish. I need to do that work so that I can do the work I do. It's how I go deeper. It's how I'm able to hold the space I can. But yoga 2 hours every day, that is like an absolute. Or maybe on Sunday I might only do an hour, but generally, it's like that's a not negotiable. I don't even think about it. It's not like I should go to yoga today. No, I just get up and I do it. And I do chanting as well. I have Nichiren Buddhism. So Nichiren Buddhism, it's I guess it's the essence of Buddhism, but it's just your chanting, and you have a scribe when you've been initiated, and the scribe is yourself.
Oh wow!
It's got ancient Indian scripting, and it's also got some Japanese scripting, because the head of Nichiren Buddhism was Japanese. He had studied with the Buddhas, but so that you're chanting to yourself. I remember when I spent time in Osho's ashram, and he said, you are the Buddha in yourself. You should not be putting your energies out to somebody else. You are the Buddha, and remembering that you are the source, you are the one. So I always that's really what that is. It's like chanting to yourself and your happiness, chanting for other people's happiness. So I do that as well.
Actually, it's funny you say that, because I just read a quote yesterday that said a true healer will show people how to heal themselves.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. The more work you do, the more you realize it's not about, and that's why I talked about the significance, because a lot of healers want to be healers and look how good I am, and we've all been there. I've been there too, and more it's around being approved of and being accepted, and am I good enough that they're going to want to keep coming, or all that crap. But it's all part of the process. That's your initiations, right? Look at the levels of consciousness. There's a book by Dr. Claire Graves, Claire as in a man. It's actually an amazing book. When I studied master practitioner training in neuro-linguistic programming, and they talk about the levels of consciousness. And now Tony Robbins brings it into his work now in Date with Destiny as well. And he talks about, you've got your base level, and then you've got your family. What this Dr. Claire Graves talks about is that your levels of consciousness can go up here. And a lot of people think, I'm at level 6 and 7, I'm so enlightened, I'm a healer. But they're like, if you haven't dealt with your own family, you will not be able to sustain up there. You might be able to be up there when you're doing your healing work, and that's wonderful. But in the rest of your life, bang, which is what we're talking about with the medium, right? And then it's the next level and the next level, and level 5 is all about your ego, and and it's just beautiful that when you understand that it's just levels of consciousness, there's just initiations, and you're just going up those initiations, and then there's no also judgment on where people are either, because we're all on different levels.
The Dalai Lama said the same thing. I went to a seminar with him, and he, at the end of it, he said, okay, now we've had a wonderful few days, and where you're sitting right now, take a moment to reflect on that, and when you walk out and you catch the train and you go home to your families, remember this moment, because that's when the work begins.
That's it. Exactly. I know, because it's so easy to be in that cocoon of the work starts. This is what we always say at the end of our retreats. The work starts now. When you home, because now you've had that expansion. Deepak Chopra talks a lot about in one of his books, can't remember which one it is now, but he talks a lot about the expansion and the contraction, and that's it. We go into this expanded space, and I do believe that there's a potential for us to be in that expanded space all the time.
Yeah.
But if you think about the egg, like we're inside an egg and it's all dark, and then what was Rumi say, the wound is where the light enters. So all of a sudden there's a crack in the egg and the light starts coming, and we're like, ooh, moment of expansion. But then we go back into the contraction, and then gradually I think we keep breaking that egg until one day we're like, ooh, but yes, I think that's part of it, right? We just go out, and then all of a sudden we have to apply that to the real world. But that's the yoga, what we call the yoga. That's the essence of the work right there.
Yeah, and the contraction doesn't need to ever come back to being the small contraction. It can be a lesser contraction and a bigger expansion. Right. It's like
pendulation. In psychotherapy, we talk about pendulation, and that's kind of what that is, right?
Yeah.
Vortex, the blue vortex, like here we go, the red pill, the blue pill.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how's your, it feels like you have a thirst for knowledge and learning, so from being in the arts and the creativity and the fantasy that you get to be in that space and share through different characters and things like that, to your body saying, okay, this is the time to come, a full stop point, we've got to go from here. And then the Bikram yoga, I mean, wow, what a space that is like. It's a very powerful yoga to embrace.
Very misunderstood yoga.
Yeah.
People misunderstand it so much, and people say, oh, you don't even do real yoga, and I'm like, that's okay, you come and do what I've done for 22 years, and then you can tell me that I'm not doing real yoga. That's fine. It's okay.
I love it. I loved it. I went through a phase where I was addicted to it. For a long time, and I loved it, and I got so much from it. And it is about the challenge.
Yeah, that's right.
And wanting to conquer something, and when you conquer it, the amount of expansion you get out of that is incredible.
Yeah, in shamanic medicine on the north, like I'm talking Australian shamanic medicine because obviously we're in a different, the sun's in a different time of the year. So for us, the north is the place of the challenge, right? And it's in the indigenous cultures here, the north, it's the representation of the the great goanna, the goanna, I mean. And that place where you're taking yourself to in the medicine wheel, that's the challenge. That's the authenticity. It's the place where, where you're into me, I see. So the intimacy within yourself, but it's the breaking through of the wall. And they talk about, because I run sweat lodges as well in part of my retreats, and that particular one of the stories, the Dreamtime story that we kind of tell in that sweat lodge, talks about that it's like, are you willing to face the wall? Are you willing to go through it? Everyone has to go through it, whether you want to or not. You do have to go through it, but if it's your choice to go through it, man, it's going to be a much nicer time. resisting so it's and that's what the Bikram yoga is like. It's understands that. I mean, it might not be talking about shamanic medicine, but it's the Indian shamanic medicine. Indigenous cultures have so much to offer us, and I always try not to misappropriation of their culture. I'm very respectful of all that. However, their wisdom is what we need to learn.
And we are powerful allies of supporting that, being having longevity and coming through to be more in the space, isn't it? I think that's a beautiful acknowledgement when you feel connection to that. So you have a kaleidoscope of mentors and guidance, and like you've been in Osho's tempers. I love self-realization myself with the Yogananda practices and beliefs, but so you've been called to go to these different places and to add those into the toolkit.
I live from my heart, and I've had to learn a little bit to live from my head as well, like to be discerning. Like it's a new value that I've added to my life.
We love that. We've been learning about that too.
I got scammed, so it was really not good. So I learned, because I just tend to trust. I want to trust everyone, and give everything. I'm like, Rowena, people haven't done always the work that you have done. My dad said that to me. He goes, look, you see the world from the way you are because you're so open and you've done so much work, but not everyone has, and the people don't have the same intentions as you, so you've got to be discerning. So I've added discernment, but however, Yeah, I live my life from my heart, and I always have. Like, I don't know any other way. One of my healers said, you are the most genuine person to your heart, because you cannot do anything. Even if I offer you a job or something, you could probably have way more money if I offered you this job, but your heart says, nah, you just can't. You know, a lot of people have accused me of being lost, and I'm a seeker, and I know maybe I have come across like that because I'm going from thing to thing to thing, but I'm not really. Like, everything I learn, people go, oh, you're obsessed. I'm like, yeah, that's because I'm integrating it. It becomes my life until it's integrated. And then there's just adding. Like, I don't drop anything I've learned. And in fact, it's what's layered. It's what's layering me as a person, but layering the work that I get to do in service, you know? And it's like, you'll be in a process with someone, you'll go, oh, I need to do that. I need to use that tool, right? And so it's like drawing upon all those tools and trusting that containers whatever they're needing. So I think for me, it's a gift, the learning, and you can't stop learning. Research shows us anyway that human beings are the most happiest when they are learning and growing. Growth is a really important value and human need. It's a massive human need that we have to have to be really.
I think back to that exact thing is that's why we chose to come to this planet. If we look at it that way, is we come for the contrast. And
that's right.
You're a beautiful example of experiencing all of the contrast, but only, and just on that too, I want to quickly just acknowledge you for not creating a story around anything that you do, because there are people out there that, you know, have been down the whole Bikram path and it's become a story, you know, and not a real happy story, or blame or the reason, you know, and it's like, I love that I'm listening to you talk about, talk about it, and it's, you've drawn what you have needed from it. I have taken what I have needed from it, and it's been
too, even from the man too, as you know.
Absolutely.
And travel, but I am indebted. I am not indebted because that feels like I owe someone or own
gratitude.
Gratitude. Yeah, I have such gratitude, and I've healed my stuff. We've all gone through stuff, obviously working in the industry with that, but you know,
everything's happening for us. That's the thing that we talk about a lot. Everything.
Someone else's soul purpose.
Yeah.
You know, someone's soul purpose and what they've come here to learn. How am I to judge that?
Yeah.
I was obviously in a contract with that person. Mm-hmm. Obviously, not everyone has to believe my beliefs, but this is what I've believed, made with the meaning of given things. But we have contracts with people, and they come into our lives, and we need a healing. I mean, I learned so much from being in that world.
Yeah.
I have grown so much. The biggest growth of my life always happens, well, in the past, because I'm changing that. Growth of my life has always been from the battles, right? Right? And I'm coming to a place where it's like I don't have to battle anymore. I can use all that wisdom, and that's the kahuna, right? The flight of the navigator. They talk about using the wisdom from the past and taking it forward into the future. Like, that's the beautiful navigator. So it's like using that wisdom. It's like, no, but those battles are the biggest things. I stopped becoming a yes woman. I stopped becoming a people pleaser. I became even more authentic from all that. Anyway,
because we're hearing that, as you know, definitely so much. It's been like, I think for a lot of people, but it's definitely in the space, is to embrace the authenticity and not having to become I'll say another
version of something else.
Just literally, you know, standing in your truth and going, well, actually, I don't need to move much from here. I just need to stop saying yes. So I just need to honor my truth or my stillness, or you know, okay, some shit went down over there, but what my take on that experience is I'm in gratitude for this and that, and there's the truth in that, as opposed to the stories and things that want to take over from the things.
I'm not going to lie and say that I haven't been in that story. I just didn't want to stay there very long. So I looked at a lot of, you know, I had to look at a lot of stuff and do a lot of healing there, because it was a community. I mean, but that's not even just that. It's everywhere. I did the same with my birth father, you know. yeah, you know, and yeah, it's about, are you willing to look at, in psychotherapy and process work psychotherapy, it's very somatic work and it's very art therapy, and there's a lot of movement and shamanic kind of work through it, and there's a lot of we talk about the dream body. Jung is amazing for that. He really brought that through, the dream body. The dream body is always talking to us, and I think where was I going with that? I was going to say something about, you know, the healing. I just
the processing, because I think what you bring it up is a very valid point.
process.
Yeah, allowing.
Oh, there's something I was going to say that it's just I've forgotten what it was. But anyway, yeah. I can't remember now what I was going to say. But yeah, but in that, it's that that's what it is. In that process, we have an exercise called the accusation exercise, and it's about yourself. Yeah. Right, and it's amazing. And the work I've done, whenever I've done, even I do my own individual inner work with it sometimes, is that when someone's accused you of something, or you've got something to accuse someone else of, right, what's the 1% you can own about yourself?
Wow.
1% that you can take. And when you actually really explore that, and through the, you know, the body and through all the things that we do, man, some big insights can come through.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I got accused of being really self-centered by a really good friend of mine, and I sat with it. She sent me an email, and I was like, oh my God, like, it hurt. And my first initial was like, oh my God, I'm being rejected. And I was like, stop. She's not saying that. She's just saying how she felt. Like, okay, I could have gone into, well, she's projecting. And I was like, no, let me just sit with this. And I did a process on that, and it really showed me where my trauma adaptation was of family, and how friends to me have been family in my life, because I didn't have my own family so much. And it's helped me to really connect back to my own family. Like, that's been the biggest gift, you know. And that she was accusing me of something, but still there's always something so beautiful. And that's just opened me up to so much. And our connection now with the girl that said this to me, like, oh my God. And then she came back later and said, I've got stuff to own here too. I was actually projecting. So I didn't have to say that to her. She came back and saw her own part of it. And like, our friendship went like that from that, you know. So if we are willing to sit in our own stuff, look at ourselves, instead of jumping, it's you, 3 fingers are coming back at us, and look at our stuff. And then, yeah.
There's a lot to take from that.
Yeah, be gifted in that space. Yeah.
Wow.
You.
Live like
I
this.
just need to take a breath with that one. That was,
I want to jump back a little bit, because you were talking to about 2030.
I must have missed that. I was too busy listening or being somewhere else right then with something else she's said.
We've got a lot of diamond going on today.
I saw your face. You weren't really fully there when I was saying it. I was like,
oh yeah, it must have like knocked something out of me. So let's go there.
Because
look, I try to, you know, like, on the other side of it too, because you can get caught up. I went down the rabbit hole, you know, through COVID. I mean, I knew the moment they announced COVID, I was like, this is bullshit. Like, I just knew. I knew before they'd even locked us down. I was like, oh, this is the same as that other bird flu, total crock of shit. Like, I just know. I'm so intuitive. I'm like, nah, this is a scam. There's some big thing here going on. There's a play out here. So I just didn't want any part of it. And, you know, obviously, you know, we had certain rules we had to play, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. I really went down the rabbit hole more and more and more, and I watched a lot of documentaries, you know, like a lot of us did. And, you know, I tried to learning. I went into the fear. Yeah, learning. I went into the fear, and as well, like, what's going to happen? That's what led to me getting scammed, because I was so paranoid of not having my own property or somewhere to go that I got caught up in a deal that was not a good deal. And, you know, even though I did do some due diligence on it, it still was not, you know, that person wasn't honest. And anyway, I've learned a lot from that. But yeah, during that, then I had to kind of just go like that to it. Like, it's there, but I think that's also part of the process for us, is to not, because that's the thing, right? We get caught up in the fear, what's in front of us. That's the illusion. Life is illusion. That's what, you know, David was talking about when we were in the fake world. My Kahuna teacher always talks about the illusion of life, and everything is illusion, and we get caught up in our own thinking, and then there's an illusion, and we create a paranoia around this or a paranoia around that. Sometimes we assume someone's saying something or thinking something about us when they haven't even implied that, but that's our own stuff. So this, I was like, okay, apply all this to this, because you can get caught up in all the BS, and you can go into fear, or you can be like, you know what? I'm going to stay connected. I'm going to keep doing my work on myself and trust that this is all happening for a reason. This is all happening to wake up humanity. Hello. This is the biggest wake up of all. And I did a plant medicine journey that I was taken through with an indigenous, with acacia wattle. And, amazing, scary as hell, but it was amazing. Yeah. And I saw this indigenous man came through after I got through the challenge, because the challenge was like, oh! Once I got through the trust of that and I went under this bloody door that was trying to squash me, I came through and I was like, I was in this like water, and then this indigenous man showed his face, and the black widow spider was like speaking to me telepathically, talking about just, you know, things about myself and my life and how to kind of veer to change directions a little bit. So, and that took about 4 years to integrate. But this indigenous man then showed me a dome, and he was like showing me that everybody's under this kind of layer, and it's the illusion of life, and we're all in it together. Yeah. And then we can be, then this illusion will lift, and we'll realize, you know. And I think that's how the ancient indigenous used to live. I believe that the Peruvians, and I believe that the Mayans, and I believe that the Incans, and the even the Lemurians, I just believe they're actually just vibrating on a different level. I actually still think they're here. They're just on a different because when I've done kahunas with my teacher, I've been taken up through my chakras, different levels of healing, and I've been up there in the galactics doing work with people. And when I used to work with Dr. Doreen Virtue, when she did all the angel work, meditations and stuff with her, and she took everyone to Babylon, is it Babylonia? Babylonia.
Yep.
And everyone's experiences were the same. Even with Ian White, we did a flower essence. We did this course with him, and Ian White does the Australian bushflower essences, and I'm one of his teachers. But he, we did it. I'll go like that because that's what you do. Essences now.
We all took some essences.
Yes, we all just had something.
He's got higher frequency essences, not just the Australian bushflower essences, and they're all channeled. Like he said to me, Rowena, I used to just get meditation. I'd be told, go to Antarctica, go here, go there. And I'd be thinking, I'm spending $20,000 to go to Antarctica. I don't even know where I'm going. And then again, full faith and trust. And then this essence would come through. And so we did a whole 2 days where we took every essence, and everyone in the room would take the essence, and then we'd meditate. And when you see what comes through everyone, I remember one of the essences, I can't remember, maybe it was China essence, and I saw all these Buddhas and all these like ancient traditional cultures kind of retreating back in the caves and like letting humanity do its thing.
Yeah.
Saw them that there's going to be a time when they start emerging, and I just watched some documentary or something the other day, and they said all the ancient energies are starting to emerge, and I was like, oh my God, all those years ago. So I believe that we're all tapping into the same thing, right? We're all able to tap into the same thing. And again, if we do all this work on ourselves and we realize this, it's not a conspiracy.
No.
We're
on your train.
Yeah.
I'm on my train.
Let's go have lunch now.
You know, it's like, and you know, it's getting stronger. Like this is getting stronger. Even I was telling my yoga students the other day, when I used to do massage, just normal remedial massage, even then there was a stigma around massage. Oh, do you work in a parlor? Like what kind of massage do you do? Now it's like a mainstream allopathy, you can get on the health funds. Back when I started, you couldn't get that. So, you know, you've seen people.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's been a lot of physical changes, like people getting understanding that you've got to have nutrition, you know, and then it just keeps opening, I think, from there.
So this is leading us to 2030. Is this like another like time shift, like the 2012 or
track? So I do believe that
it's perfect where you went. It's perfect where you went.
I don't know. I've seen before COVID, probably a year, maybe 6 months before the COVID started, I was having dreams, like succession of dreams, and in those dreams, I remember one of them really vividly, particularly, and there was like workmen working on the road. And there was all this, like, I don't know, there was all this kerfuffle happening. There was all these rules and regulations. There was like just a lot of stuff, which I think is Agenda 33, right? And then all of a sudden, these roadies were like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Swearing on your web thing. And they just threw all their tools, and they were walking, drones of people just walking into the bush, just leaving society, you know?
Love it.
If you look at Abby Rose's work, I don't know if you've looked at Untethered.
I've heard of her. Yeah.
She's got dive deep, that girl, around the tax system and all the money and the financial corruption and all that.
Yeah.
So, she's everything's legal. Everything she's doing is legal.
Yeah,
But
it's so funny you've just brought her up. I saw a post yesterday, her saying that paying your tax is not illegal, and I was like, "Whoa, watch out, girlfriend!" But she literally went into.
She's gone through the whole thing herself. They came after her, but then they've got nothing to. So she's clear because she did everything legally. Everything legally. So then, I mean, this is what's happening all over the world, though. People are realizing. You look at. I mean, not that I like to spend a lot of time on social media. To be honest, I don't think it's. You know. But at the same time, these tools have been given us because if we didn't have it, the awakening wouldn't be happening. The awareness wouldn't be out there as much. People are waking up because they're getting this in their faces, right? And that's where the algorithms are trying to stop it. So we're getting all that stuff, but what about people that need to wake up? But you know, so on social media, though, if you really look, there's just more and more people just calling out everything, calling out medical doctors, not so much saying they're bad people, but you know, calling out the system, calling out the homeopaths are calling out the fact that homeopathy was the biggest, most thriving field of medicine out there, including the Rockefeller. He actually, I think he had his own clinic or something.
Yes.
And then they decided, of course, they wanted to control and rule and blah, blah, blah. So they suppressed everything. They stopped all the universities to stop people being able to study this kind of stuff. People would lose their licenses if they tried to do any alternative medicine. I mean, it's not even alternative medicine to me.
It's the truth.
I mean, we can go back to the witches being burnt at the stake. It's because they were healing. They weren't that mad or crazy. They were actually healing people with their herbs.
Yeah, that's right. I know. But there's been I mean, when I worked with Doreen, a lot of all this used to come up in conversation. This was like 20 years ago. And she'd be like, well, yeah, because we're all petrified. That's why people are afraid. You go through, if you're a healer or in this kind of field, unless you've got some real cocky kind of attitude, usually, that's a judgment. Okay, I've got to look at that. Judgment. Sorry, that's my own judgment there. Woo. Okay, I own that. I think, so what she talked about was that most healers or people that know they're born for more or born for this kind of work, or, you know, they've been so petrified to step up, petrified to show their face. And she talked a lot back then. She said that's because of the burning on the stake. You know, they even look at in India, they try to hide all the Ayurvedic medicine. They try to hide all the indigenous medicine all over the world, and they had to do it in secret, underground, behind scenes, you know, but the power of that, it's still there.
Well, we go back to the start of the podcast where you talked about the plant medicine. It's coming out more and more, and it is coming into more practices, and we are realizing that it's healing addiction and it's healing all of these things, and it needs to be
healing spirit.
It's interesting what's happening too, though, because Big Pharma are aware of this, right? So Big Pharma, there's a group there that Big Pharma are trying to isolate just the whatever, so they can own it and patent it. Then, and you know, of course, also there's that field where they just want you to take the pill and then not have to do all the psychotherapy and all the healing and the space healing. But that's the biggest part of it, actually, is holding space for people in it and allowing them to process it. But
she also did the lobotomies. They also did the lobotomies as well. That was also an answer. Let's just make them.
It was only when Nixon bought the Nixon, and I mean, you know, obviously, you know, they're all puppets. But Nixon brought it in and criminalized it. And that, you know, before then they were doing amazing research. Like all these researchers that are part of our training, you know, from all over America and everywhere, London, everywhere. Some of them flew over for our training. A lot of them are online. You know, Bezel, you know, I mean, talking, you know, Gabor Mate, Bezel, you know, the Body Keeps the Score. These are the guys that are all here doing the research here. And Dr. Bill Richards and, you know, I mean, and Bill Murray. I mean, there's not Bill Murray. Yeah, Bill Murray. Amazing people who are PhDs in what they do. You know, and they're showing us the research. There's research from like years and years and years of this work. You know, that's in the Western field. The indigenous, you know, the indigenous and the ayahuascas and all, you know, these guys have been doing this for eons.
Thousands. Eons. And this is because in that space where you're saying around the psilocybin and things like that, I've heard that is also like it's a synthetic. It's not the actual.
Yeah, some of it is synthetic. I'm like all about the real.
Yeah.
I mean, but at least
Absolutely.
it's been welcomed into the clinics. It's the shift is happening with the practitioners. It's a purpose. There's the process there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a start. It's a start. But more and more people are embracing it. And you know, obviously you've got to look at psychosis. You've got to look at where people are at as well. You can't just go out and take this stuff. You know, that's the thing too. You have to really be prepared. You have to prepare yourself. You know, it's not just fun and games.
It's
like
respectful.
Drugs. It's not meant to be taken just recreational. This stuff it's potent healing medicine that is supposed to support and amplify where you are. Like all healing is, it's amplifying where you actually are. And then some of that medicine's going to make it really like potent, and other stuff's going to be softer or whatever it might be that you're needing. But it really needs to be done in ceremony and with respect.
Yeah.
You know, there's such a disconnect from the earth. You know, people just throw their rubbish everywhere. There's a disconnect. This earth is us. We become earth when we pass. You know, we disintegrate and we become earth. But people are so disconnected. We live inside. We're not, you know, and so we need to respect this stuff as well. But that's also our own respect.
Yeah.
You know, when we keep healing ourselves, we start to create new self-worth. We start to create new sense of self-value, and that leads to value for others. And, you know, it just goes from there.
It's so real, though. Everything you're saying is so real. But I'm going to wind back a little bit because we are coming to the end. We've like literally gone everywhere.
Had to taken the cap off.
Exactly.
Really. We've got such a full bottle.
I'm not linear. I'm like,
love it. Love it. I love it.
Mind map, because I got, you know, that's my ADHD. That's my gift of ADHD. People go, you've got a mind map.
Yeah.
You can see and tap, everything's connected, but
no, it is absolutely. You're right on point with everything today with us and our listeners and what we're about as well. It was so beautiful. We do like to close by asking you a question, or we have been all around this question, but I'm
going to have to get you back actually too, by the way.
Yes.
We've started little journeys here.
Maybe we could just talk about one subject, because I reckon there'll be so much to go into around different areas. But
thank you.
How do you see the world now, Rowena, and what do you see next happening for us as a whole?
Okay, so the optimist in me believes, and the person in me that believes in kinetic potential, human potential, I see the world is a beautiful place, and it's also a horrible place, right? But that's when you embrace both parts. That's the dark and the light, right? And so I see that the world is beginning to merge. I believe that there's a battle going on right now. There's a battle going on, but I also always believe that the light will win. I always believe that the soul is so much more powerful than anything else, and your innate soul. You know, when you sit with someone and they're sad and they cry, and all of a sudden, even if you don't like that person, you connect.
Yeah.
Right? And all of a sudden there's an empathy because we understand each other. I believe this is what's going to keep happening. The heart's going to keep opening and expanding, and this is where the world is going. It's the new world, the new earth, but not the new world order, the new earth.
Yes. We're hearing you.
And this is what I believe, like, you know, I've done a lot of research on the Lemurians, and that's what they were trying to do, is to bring heaven on earth. So we could have these experiences on earth and life, to experience it in physical form, and to keep growing and learning, but doing it in a new supportive way where everyone has sovereignty and everybody is respected as they are, who they are. So that's where I see us going. And whether it's going to happen while I'm still alive, I'm not sure about that. I don't know. Right. I can only hope, because we've done all this damn work. We want to see it. At the same time, we are seeing it, because as Gandhi says, be the one to change the world, whatever can't remember the words were right now, but it's about us. You do your work, and everyone does their work, and then there's this beautiful harmony, beautiful new earth for us to all live.
Yeah,
that's so beautiful.
Amen to that, sister.
Yeah. Thank you, beautiful lady.
Thank you.
You bring so much light to the planet, and I feel very grateful to have met you personally and been in your space and shared, being able to have the gift of your energy.
Thank you. Well, it goes both ways, you know, takes on to no one, you know how. But that also is the same when you got your stuff showing up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you so much. Oh my God, you're both beautiful. Your energies are gorgeous. It's been such a flowing conversation.
Has.
It has.
Start the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, beautiful Rowena.
Thank you.
I talk to a spirit. She comes in my dreams.
Thank you for listening to our Girl Awakening podcast. We are also on YouTube as Girl Awakening. We'd love to see you there with comments on how our guests resonated with you or your own awakening. Please share the love with a like and subscribe while you're there. A blissful thank you to Ksenia Luki, the amazing artist behind our theme song. We will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.